Based upon the novel, The Good Shepherd by C.S. Forester, this is the suspenseful story of an Allied convoy crossing the North Atlantic in 1942 as it faces fierce attacks by a German submarine wolfpack. Welcome back to Movies Explained. Today's film is an action war drama from 2020 titled Greyhound. February 1942, North Atlantic Ocean. At the height of the Second World War, a convoy of 37 Allied ships must successfully cross the area known as the Black Pit to be able to deliver troops and provisions to Great Britain, both incredibly crucial in helping the Allied powers win the war. But they face a major danger. The area they must cross is beyond the range of air cover, making them susceptible to attack from stealthy Nazi submarines called U-boats. The efforts made by those involved in this embark serve as a pivotal moment in this fictional retelling of World War II and is a part of what would be known as the most prolonged and complex war effort in the non-fictional Battle of the Atlantic. The beleaguered Commander Ernest Krause of the United States Navy is the overall commander of the HX-25 convoy and the captain of a Fletcher-class destroyer USS Keeling, codenamed Greyhound. In a brief flashback 2 months before he sets out, he meets up with his fiancée, Eva Krause, at an upscale hotel lobby during mid-Christmas. They exchange presents. And we discover that, despite his extensive history in the Navy, this will be his first ever wartime command, thrown out to set sail after the events of Pearl Harbor which resulted in dire need of more captains at sea. He invites Eva to come with him so he could marry her on a tropical beach. Eva refuses, stating that they couldn't get married considering the condition the world is currently in. Back in present time. Wednesday, 50 hours to air cover. Klaus is served tea by the onboard cook, Cleveland, as he scolds 2 crewmen for causing a ruckus. His attention is then needed at the bridge where he is updated of their current situation. He is informed that they've received a coded message from the Commodore, Huff Duff, otherwise known as high-frequency direction finding. This results in the interception of several German transmissions indicating enemy presence. Klaus informs the surrounding fleet of the possible contact, placing all ships under high alert. The men on board scatter to their battle stations as Klaus commands the other ships to immediately return to their stations to protect the convoy while Greyhound goes out to investigate. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Charlie Cole asks the radar specialist if he's got news when immediately after, they identify the coordinates of a surfaced U-boat heading towards the convoy. The U-boat steadily approaches the convoy as Klaus informs his crew to hold off on opening fire until ordered to. Greyhound gets within firing range with the U-boat, but before they can get a visual, the U-boat dives, disappearing from their radar. Klaus is alerted of this and tells his men to quickly come up with an intercepting point, to which they swiftly do. They head to the course of intercept and 2 miles away from it, they slow down for sonar detection. This leads to a long tense search for the stealthy sub as it repeatedly slips away from them. As the crew starts thinking that it slipped away, a sudden spike in the sonar radar indicates re-established contact. They discover that the U-boat is trying to sneak past them by going under the ship. Before they're able to, the Greyhound deploys a series of depth charges that garners them their first kill. They announce the kill to the crewmates, prompting them to briefly celebrate. Though their excitement is short-lived when they hear news of 2 distress rockets rearing the convoy. The Despotiko, a Greek merchant ship, has been set ablaze and is quickly sinking. Krause moves Greyhound to assist them. In the distance, a U-boat stalking the Greyhound fires a torpedo headed to its direction. Krause is alerted of this, but luckily, it narrowly misses. News of 42 men being rescued from Despotiko gets to them as they head back to the convoy. On the way back, they receive multiple messages from the other escorts of several U-boats surrounding the convoy, a wolf pack consisting of 6 subs staying just out of firing range. Krause suspects that they're waiting for nightfall when visibility is minimal, close to non-existent. A U-boat surfaces heading in for an attack. They try to get an accurate reading from the radar, but something seems to be interfering it. They manage to spot the U-boat and fire several shots at it, diverting it away from them. Krause sends a message to the other ships about the current situation. Meanwhile, Cole asks Chief Rudel what they can do about the radar interference. Rudel states that it's not an interference and that it may be fixed if they reset the system at the cost of being out for 2 hours, which he says is a waste of crucial time. Wednesday, 36 hours to air cover. It's nighttime, the Greyhound still carefully traversing dangerous waters. Krause orders the ship to be slowed down, as to avoid the repercussions of turbulent waters. As Krause enjoys dinner served up by Cleveland, they hear faint explosions in the distance. The attack is commencing. After a grueling battle, the U-boats successfully sink 5 merchant ships, along with an oil tanker that explodes. The U-boat that hit the oil tanker escapes Greyhound by using a decoy, tricking them into wasting most of their remaining depth charges. Krauss is informed of the survivors floating in the water. He tells his men to rescue them rather than aiding the other ships first, a decision he will soon regret. A message from the captain of the U-boat submarine called the Grey Wolf gets to Krauss via radio transmission. The captain taunts him, threatening that if they continue to pursue them, more of Krauss's shipmates will die. Krauss gets reports from the other escorts of more U-boats coming in to attack. They prepare and wage an all-night war on their enemies. The next day, Thursday, 26 hours to air cover. Krauss gets a status report of the casualties from the war the previous evening: 5 ships lost, Vasco, Southland, Corning, Pombarton, Powell, 2 ships damaged, 23 survivors, 210 confirmed dead. Krauss briefly mourns their losses. He is then informed that their charges are quickly depleting, leaving them with no effective retaliation to an underwater attack. Realizing that they have no other choice, Krauss phones Cole and tells him that they must break protocol. Aware of the risks, he tells him that to reach air protection safely, they must not do any more evasive maneuvers that can cost them time and in turn, making them more vulnerable to more attacks. Cole approximates that they can be under air cover within 24 hours as long as they maintain a direct course. The ship is alerted of a possible attack, prompting them to assume their battle stations. All on high alert, they bounce back orders and directions of what to do. In the distance, a U-boat is seen. They fire a couple of times, to no avail. An escort ship, Dickey, says that they've got the U-boat in direct range and that they're going in for an attack. The U-boat launch multiple torpedoes headed for Greyhound, all of which narrowly misses them. Dickey and Greyhound work together to sink the U-boat in an exchange of attacks. Greyhound is hit, which kills Cleveland and 2 other sailors. Later, Krauss checks in on Dickey's condition, the captain stating that they endured minor damage to the hull just above the waterline, stating that they'll have them patched up and will be back in the hunt in no time. They commemorate a funeral service to their fallen shipmates, when news of Eagle, one of the other escort ships being gravely hit, gets to them. Krauss phones Eagle to check in on them. They were hit in the engine room and have a fire below deck, stating that there are a few casualties. Before they were hit, the Kong Gustav, another one of their ships, was hit and sank within 3 minutes, left with 0 survivors. Thursday, 14 hours to air cover. Eagle phones Greyhound, asking permission to abandon ship as it has become obsolete. Krauss gives authorization to do so. Krauss reconvenes with Cole, seeking guidance on what to do next. Aware that this may expose the vulnerable state of the fleet to the Wolf Pack, he proposes that they break radio silence by transmitting a single word to the Admiralty: help. It's clear that Krauss blames himself for all the lives that were lost in the war that resulted the previous day. Later, a coded message from the Admiralty gets to them, a rendezvous point and reassurance that reinforcements are coming to assist. A radio transmission from the captain of the Grey Wolf arrives, taunting Krauss again. Friday, 3 hours to air cover. The remaining U-boats execute an all-out attack on the destroyers. One of the torpedoes misses the side of the Greyhound, the next ricocheting off of it. A battle ensues, constant firing and undeterred effort from both sides. They manage to sink the Grey Wolf with a full broadside. Air support finally arrives, a bomber plane. Both make a combined effort to take down the last visible U-boat, the bomber lining itself up with the sub and deploying several depth charges to attack and sink it. The sub explodes and the rest of the pack flee quickly before being discovered. Soon after, they finally reach friendly waters, which is a relief. The head of the HMS Diamond makes contact with Krauss, who gives them a brief rundown of their status: 7 ships lost, 2 damaged, 3 casualties on the Greyhound, and also confirming the seaworthiness of the ship. He tells him that Greyhound is due for repair in Derry and relieves Krauss of his duties, who insists that he stay with the convoy. But the head of the HMS Diamond insists that it's an order, stating that he must relieve the other captains from the other escort ships along with him. Before they hang up, he asks Krauss out of curiosity how many crossings he has done. Krauss tells him that this is his first, and the head of the HMS Diamond is impressed that he was able to take down 4 U-boats considering this was his first naval mission. Krauss turns over his command to a junior officer, everyone present on the bridge gazing at Krauss with a newfound respect. As he heads down to the cabin, he hears cheers coming from outside. He goes out to the deck to see what it is and finds the crewmen of the remaining convoy ships cheering in his honor. He looks around and ever so subtly, he smiles, his efforts were not in vain. Celebratory flares shoot up in the sun-kissed sky as they receive a message from another ship, "Thank you Greyhound, Godspeed, have a drink on us in Derry." Kraus makes his way to his cabin where he removes his uniform. He reminisces the moments he had with Eva and grabs a Bible, kneeling by the bed to pray. He gets in bed, finally getting a well-deserved rest. During the Battle of the Atlantic, over 3,500 ships carrying millions of tons of cargo were sunk. 72,200 souls were lost forever. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more videos.